Good morning, guys. So, this video is going to talk to you about Standard 1. And what I need for you all to do is make sure that you have your spiral notebook and you're going to take notes. There are a lot of slides, and so you will have to pause and rewind at your leisure. All right, so on the first line, you know that you need to put the learning target, which is all about analyzing, drawing inferences, citing the strongest piece of textual evidence to support your conclusion. All right. So what are you learning today? You're going to learn how to analyze. So analyze what the text is saying explicitly. You're going to draw inferences using graphic organizers, and we'll do that in class. You're also going to cite the strongest piece of compelling. Compelling means to draw. You want to draw me in textual evidence that supports your conclusion. Here are a few keywords. So analyze. I've talked to you about this in class. When we're analyzing something, we're going to take it apart. We want to see how it connects together, just like a bike. We want to take apart the pieces of the bike to see how the handlebars and the frame works together and the wheels work together and the chains work together. So we're analyzing the text so that we can see how it connects to our understanding and what the writer wants. Reading is all about connections. Explicitly, precisely, exactly. What is the text saying exactly? What is it saying word for word? Do not add anything to it. Do not take anything away from it. Inferences. So, inferences are ideas or conclusions that we draw using evidence from the text, reasoning, which is our own knowledge. Strongest, we're talking about the most powerful piece of evidence. Compelling, we're talking about words that draw us in, powerful words, persuasive words. Evidence, we know we're talking about the proof. The proof is in the pudding. Supports, think about a support beam that's within your house. It is holding up your house. So we need to find evidence that's going to hold up your answer. We want to find proof that's going to hold up what you're saying. All right, so what are we going to analyze? We're going to analyze vocabulary words in the text. We need to know the connotations, denotations, and the technical meanings of words. We need to be able to look at the syntax. The syntax is basically how the the sentence is put together. Text structure, how it is built. Anytime we're talking about structure, we're talking about how something is built. Author's craft, we're talking about why the author uses the words that he uses. Why did he or she use that sentence structure, the figurative language, the sentence arrangements? We're talking about the mood, the imagery. We're talking about why did the author use all of the things that he used or she used to give us this very rich and engaging piece of text. Why did they use it? How did they use it? What message um, are we to draw from that? All right, so connotations, denotations, and technical words. When we're talking about connotations, we're talking about feelings and emotions connected to the words. They could be positive, they could be negative. Connotations can even be neutral. Here's an example. Go ahead and read that. All right, so the example is disabled, crippled, handicapped, and retarded. These are all words that have the same meaning for the most part. So the denotation is the dictionary meaning of the word. So disabled is a person having a physical or mental condition that limits movement, limits senses or activities. Cripple, unable to walk or move properly. Disabled, what does that mean? Having limitations. Handicap, relating to or specifically designed for people with a physical or mental disability. We go back to disability, we know that has to do with limitations, right? Retarded, delay or hold back in terms of progress, development, accomplishment. What does that have to do with? That has to do with limitations. So all four of these words have to do with limitations, right? Well, out of these four words, three of these words are very negative. If we were to call someone retarded, that's a negative connotation to it. Even though retardation is a term that is used in science, I'm sorry, used in the hospital. The technical term of re- retardation has to do with, a limit or a delay in development. But we don't use that word. Got it? Because it's a very negative word. All right, so let's talk about syntax, syntax, syntax. Syntax. The definition of syntax is the way words are arranged within sentences. What are we going to look at? We're looking at the sentence length, short sentences, long sentences, one word, which can act as a sentence. Stop! It's a short sentence. It's straightforward, it's to the point. Long sentences typically imply details, or they're very, very descriptive. And these are the sentences that we have to really, really analyze. We got to break it down. We have to see what is being said. Sentence type, we're talking about simple, compound, complex, compound, complex. And actually, uh, uh, we can have a compound complex sentence, a complex sentence. We can have multiple sentences. Well, actually, one long sentence can look like a paragraph, but it's really one long sentence. We're talking about declarative, exclamatory, interrogative, imperative. We're looking at the punctuation. We're talking about how that sentence is arranged. So when we're considering the syntax, when we're analyzing, we're looking for a few things, and this slide is very similar to the slide before. So we're looking at the meaning that lies within the sentence. So how do we analyze these sentences? Well, we ask ourselves, if the sentence is long, what is the author trying to replicate? Replicate means repeat. The physical movement of the character. Think about Miss Jackson. Um, what is the author saying about her? Is the author trying to suggest some type of confusion or emotions? What are we looking for? Is the author just giving us detail after detail after detail after detail to illustrate the enormity, the weight? And enormity has to do with heaviness or the weight or the extensiveness of something. And that something could be an idea that he wants us to grab or she wants us to grab. So when we're looking at short sentences, is the author stressing a key idea? Is the author stressing something important? Is the author trying to sound objective? Objective has to do with facts only. We got objective, we got subjective. Subjective has to do with my opinion. Objective has to do with facts only. And we're not even focusing on an opinion. Is the author trying to convey, anxiety or quickening in the pace? So we're looking at our sentences and we're asking ourselves, what do we see? So here are some tips when we're analyzing. It all boils down to the author. When we see parallelism, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that um, later on in the week, is the author trying to stress a number of things. The reason why we see I Have a Dream is because Martin Luther King used parallelism in that speech. Parallelism has to do with, parallel. Think about the words parallel, similar. So I have a dream, and we see that phrase repeated over and over and over again with repetition, and we see that the sentences are constructed the same. We're going to talk about that later. So, um, and again, remember, if you have any questions at any time you're taking these notes, go ahead and write down your questions so that when you come to class, we can talk about it. Inferences. All right, so inferences. Using personal experience and background knowledge. Schema has to do with your knowledge along with the information from the text to make an assumption. You're going to assume. Some of you all said educated guess. Yes. You're using, it's like a puzzle. It's like a math problem. We're taking what the text says plus what we know, and we're going to equal an assumption or an inference. It has to do with reading between and beyond the lines. It is important that we obtain knowledge or understanding about the subject at hand. Because if we don't understand and we don't have knowledge about the subject, then how can we really infer? That is why reading is awesome. It provides you with knowledge, guys. All right. So in class this week, what we're going to do is we're going to use say, no, and infer. It's a 3-column task. What I did, I took just a piece from our text that we're reading, and we say the sun's so high. That is what the text says. Now, what do we know about the sun being high? Well, the sun is the highest point at noon. So we can infer that it is 12 o'clock noon or around noon when Miss Phoenix Jackson arrives at the creek. What I want you to do is push yourself. I want you to find 2 pieces of evidence, and you're going to create this chart. So you're going to do what the text says, what you know, and what you can assume. That's extra credit. Ha 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 ha. You need it. Do it. Have it for me tomorrow. All right. So, how to determine the strongest piece of evidence, you guys? Oh my Lord. When I say that many people struggle with presenting evidence, and the strongest piece of evidence, it's not just you all. We're going to work towards getting better at this. So I want you to think about evidence and the concept of court, right? Let's say that Miss Bond broke into your house and um, she stole your laptop, right? Miss Bond broke into your house. She stole your laptop. How do you know I stole your laptop? How do you know I stole your laptop? What evidence do you have? Do you have uh did you do you have a picture of me walking out of your house with the laptop? Did you find the laptop at my house? Did a do you have a witness? So those are what we're talking about evidence. Now, all of those things are very strong pieces of evidence, right? Right. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is you can have multiple pieces of evidence, strong evidence, but it all boils down to how you demonstrate that this evidence supports what you're saying. Got it? You must demonstrate that your evidence is effective in providing me the answer to why. I'm going to ask you, why? How do you know? You all heard it this week. How do you know? Why? You must always tell me why. And you cannot say because the text says so. You got to elaborate on that. What does that mean? What does that show? Got it? All right.